this story that happened back when I was in high school. And trust me, it was like a real-life horror movie. Now, keep in mind, I'm not much of a writer, so I'm just gonna tell it like it went down. I was in my senior year, and it was a regular Tuesday morning. I remember the sun was shining, and everything seemed normal. But you know how life can change in an instant, right? So, there I was, sitting in the classroom, pretending to pay attention to the teacher, when suddenly, I heard a loud bang. I looked out the window, and what I saw still gives me chills. A man dressed all in black with a gun in his hand was storming through the school entrance. People screamed, and desks were overturned as everyone rushed to the door. It was pure chaos. I remember my heart pounding like crazy, and I couldn't breathe. The fear was so real, it's hard to put into words. The guy with the gun, he was yelling. Something about not wanting to be forgotten or something. But I couldn't make out all the words. All I knew was that he was dangerous, and I needed to get out of there. The hallways were like a nightmare. Students were crying, and you could hear more screams echoing through the building. I pushed my way through the crowd, my heart racing faster with each step. It felt like forever until I made it to the exit. Once outside, I realized I had left my backpack, but I didn't dare to go back in for it. The scene outside was just as terrifying. Police cars, sirens blaring, had surrounded the school, and officers were trying to keep everyone away. I could still hear shouts from inside the building. It felt like an eternity, but it was probably only minutes. The police eventually went in, and we watched, hearts in our throats, as they brought the guy out in handcuffs. He had been stopped, but the fear and chaos were still very real for us. Then, the most horrifying part came. As they led him away, he did something I'll never forget. He pulled out another gun, and without a word, took his own life. It was a moment of shock and disbelief. I can't describe how it felt to witness something so tragic and disturbing. The aftermath was like a fog. They rushed us into lockdown, and it felt like an eternity before they cleared the school. We were all safe, but that day left a mark on everyone who lived through it. I can't even begin to explain how surreal it was to see the regular hallways of my high school turned into a scene from a nightmare. It's something that still haunts my dreams. So, that's my story, and I hope it gives you the chills like it did to me. Life can change in an instant, and sometimes reality is scarier than any horror movie. It happened a few months back, and I still can't shake the fear. I was at the mall, just like any other evening. The place was buzzing with people, families, and kids enjoying their time. I had this eerie feeling from the moment I stepped into the mall that evening. It was almost deserted, which was unusual. I brushed it off, thinking it was just a slow night, and I needed to grab a few things before the stores closed. Little did I know, it would be a night I'd never forget. I was browsing through the shelves in a dimly lit corner of the mall, searching for a birthday gift for my niece, when I heard a commotion. A woman's scream pierced through the air, and my heart jumped into my throat. People around me started to panic, and that's when I saw him. A man, tall and disheveled, was marching through the mall with a gun in his hand. His eyes were wild, and he was screaming something unintelligible. Panic spread like wildfire. People were running in all directions, knocking over displays, and crying out for help. I didn't have time to think. I darted for the nearest hiding spot I could find, a bathroom tucked away in a corner. As I cowered inside, I could hear the screams, the sound of shattering glass, and the distant wail of sirens. The man with the gun had hurt other people in the mall. It was chaos. I peeked out through the cracked bathroom door, watching as terrified shoppers fled for their lives, and the police swarmed the area. The flashing red and blue lights painted an eerie picture of chaos and fear. My heart was pounding so loud, I thought it might give me away. Hours passed, and the standoff continued. The police tried to negotiate with the man, but he seemed beyond reason. I could hear snippets of their conversation, and it sent shivers down my spine. The situation was tense, and the atmosphere in the mall was thick with fear and uncertainty. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, a gunshot echoed through the mall. The police had taken down the man. I watched as they apprehended him, his reign of terror coming to an end. It was a mix of relief and horror, knowing that this nightmare had unfolded before my eyes. The aftermath was chaotic too, as the paramedics rushed in to tend to the wounded, and the police took control of the situation. It was a night I'll never forget, and even as I write this, the memory still haunts me. The mall, once a place of leisure and joy, had turned into a nightmarish battleground. I hope I never have to experience anything like that again, and I hope no one else does either. It's a stark reminder of how quickly our sense of security can be shattered, even in the most unexpected places. Sorry for the long post, and I hope my storytelling is all right. Stay safe out there, everyone. Hey everyone, I gotta tell you about the scariest day of my life. This happened back in high school, and I still can't get those horrifying memories out of my head. It was just a regular Friday afternoon, and me, my friends, and other students were hanging out in the school courtyard. The sun was shining, and everyone was excited about the weekend. Little did we know what was about to unfold. I remember looking up at the clear blue sky, and suddenly I heard a loud bang. It sounded like a firecracker at first, but then there were more of those deafening pops. People started screaming, and that's when I saw him. A man, dressed in all black, with a mask on his face, was running towards the school entrance. In his hand, he was holding a gun. My heart sank. Chaos erupted. Kids were tripping over each other, and we all tried to rush inside the building. Some of my friends and I hid behind a pillar, peeking out to see what was happening. That maniac with the gun started shooting at anyone in his path. I saw a teacher fall to the ground, and her screams still haunt me. We were trapped, terrified, and didn't know what to do. The man was getting closer, and the hallway leading to the exit was a war zone. I could hear the cries of my classmates, the gunshots, and the sirens in the distance. It was a nightmare. Suddenly, the police arrived, and it felt like a glimmer of hope. They yelled at the man to drop his weapon, but he didn't listen. Instead, he fired a shot at one of the officers. They didn't hesitate. They returned fire, and I'll never forget the sound of those gunshots echoing through the hallways. It all happened so fast, and the man fell to the ground. The school was silent again, except for the cries of the wounded. We were all in shock. I couldn't believe what I had just witnessed. The police secured the area, and we were finally allowed to leave the building. As we stepped outside, The extent of the horror hit me. Bloodstains on the floor, shattered glass, and terrified faces. It was a scene from a nightmare. It turned out that the man had some kind of grudge against the school and wanted to hurt as many people as possible. He injured several students and teachers before the police intervened. It was a day none of us would ever forget. I still have nightmares about that day. It's a chilling reminder that evil can strike when you least expect it. I'm grateful to the brave police officers who saved us, but the memory of that terrifying day will never leave me.